a sluggo. Slant and go.
I didn't do that. I don't know what that was. I like this song so much, he played it twice. Hey, fellas, we set an all-time record today already, 2 seconds into the show. The show hadn't even started yet. We got our first comment from Jeffrey Edwards. Yep. Number one, Jeff. You're number one, buddy. Thanks for chiming in. I know Casey knows, but Locks, guess what?
What's that?
Put on 2 shoes today for the first time since July 4th. How about that?
Bang. Huge day. We're up and moving, people.
And I brushed my teeth for the first time since August. No.
We need to have a talk.
Went to the doctor. He said, get off your lazy ass and start walking, dude. So I am walking. Not like a normal human as my kid wants me to walk like, but I'm getting there. It'll take a while. And something we talked about right before we went live is I got a big baseball game coming up in a couple of hours. Not only did the Astros need to win to stay relevant in the AL playoffs, but back in March when I sent you guys all this stuff from Vegas, I put a bet on Framber Valdez to go over 12.5 wins, thinking, what could go wrong? Well, let me tell you what went wrong. I've never cared about a man's groin so much in my life.
Liar.
He is at 12 wins. It is game 159, so theoretically he won't get another start. When it's funny, this is a little lesson for my kid because he said, well, obviously he's going to get 12 wins. What could go wrong? Well, everything. It's baseball.
It's gambling, baby.
It's gambling and it's baseball. The guy, it's the Astros, it's Dusty Baker. If a guy, scratches himself wrong, Dusty's going to sit him for 3 days or something. So anyway,
it's shocking to me. Like, that's a year-long projection over that many games, and they're right on the nose.
They're right on
it. The guy could have – he could also have 4 wins and been injured, early in the season. But he could also be going for his 18th win right now, and Marty could have cashed months ago.
Yep.
It's amazing to me how they do it.
It's
shocking.
Well, to that point, I had another one. Notice I said had because I had Jeremy Pena, who was certainly going to hit 18.5 home runs. And he had 10 when I last saw him on July 5th, the day after I broke my ankle. He still has 10.
Oh,
he's hitting well. He's batted like 280 since then, but no home runs. Zero, zip, zilch, egg goose, nothing. Hey, Sylvester, thanks for chiming in. $220. Framber wins. Well, 200 for me. It was a 10. The vig was 10% there. So $200 on the line. So cheer for I know you guys, nobody likes the Astros except Astros fans. That's understandable. So you guys choose Framber to win tonight, and the rest of it, who cares? All right. Week 4, big week last week in college football. Clemson, Florida State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, Mississippi, and SEC West is showing itself some more. Locks, your takeaways from last week, you had a bad beat, but I got a worse beat. We'll talk about that in a minute. But your takeaways from week 4, Locks.
A tough week. I mean, it was a great week of football. Tough week from the game picking side for me. Again, 0 for 6 in my last 6 picks. If you're counting at home, the Notre Dame game was it was a really tough first half to watch if you guys stayed awake for that. But it got good. I mean, it was a good defensive battle. They kind of honed in a little better, a lot of running the ball, a lot of line play, which if you're into Big Ten type football, I guess that's your bag. But I just shocking ending. 10 people on the field, the
Twice.
whole nine, twice. Yeah, exactly. Now you hear how they have a call, a signal so they can prevent it from happening. A lot of weird rules things that were going on. You couldn't call a timeout, whole 9 yards. And then the Clemson game, I don't know if we want to talk about that now. We're doing a different.
Go for it. Go for it.
I haven't watched Clemson since the Duke game. I just was on my own little sabbatical. What do you say? I mean, it was a tough loss. I was really happy to see the offense looked a lot more dynamic than I had seen in highlights and also from the Duke game. But like the playbook opened up a lot. A lot of receivers stepped up. A lot of receivers were getting dinged up, and more kids were coming out of the woodwork, catching the ball. It was great until just the end where the execution seemed to lack a little bit. A real tale too. I thought difference in the two teams on their passing games. Florida State was very vertical down the field when they needed to, especially at the end of the game. And Clemson then again, our favorite wide receiver screens, bubble screens. It's just something I don't know if it's ever going to change. I wish it would, but what do you say? A tough loss. It was a fun watch. One time I jumped up off the couch and I might have pulled a muscle in my back. It was a fun game to watch. I was bouncing around. It was good to see them back again. But what do you do? It was good to see them back though.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun game to watch. As you said, it didn't end the right way, but a lot of kids stepped up. They seemed to take a step forward, and that's weird to say in a loss, right? But they played well. They moved the ball. They had yards, but in a way, it's a lot of memories of like 2010 when CJ Spiller would go for what do you have against Georgia Tech in that ACC championship game? About 450 yards and 9 touchdowns, and they still lost. And they found a way to lose, like a punt snap over the head. They're finding during their hot streak or when they're on a roll, they found a way to win, and now they're finding a way to lose. And it is a train wreck waiting to happen. Beef, your take.
Yeah, I thought it was a great week of college football. I told a couple friends, after the noon game, I'm going to just be locked in and enjoy the rest of the day, and that's really what I did. I thought the Notre Dame-Ohio State game was great. What was the 3:30? The Oregon-Colorado game was kind of fun in its own way. There was some good games throughout the day that I kind of really enjoyed watching. It was just an enjoyable game, enjoyable day of football. But as you both said, I'll echo the same sentiments. Finding a way to lose for our Tigers was pretty disappointing. But I think, and maybe I'm wrong here, I thought the turning point in the game was the fumble set.
Yeah, obviously.
Because Clemson gets the ball up 24-17 with momentum. And they were moving the football on every drive. Cade looked good and in step, even with Tyler Brown going down. Troy Stellato came out of nowhere. He was using Brenningstool a good bit. I just thought Shipley was catching the ball. Maffa was catching the ball out of the backfield. Bo was catching a couple passes. I wish we could get Adam Randall more involved with his only 2 catches. But it just felt like everything was going. Everything was in sync. The running game was good. The offensive line was blocking. I just thought it was fantastic. And then literally that's all it took was one play, and the entire momentum just went out the building. And, and I think Sylvester's saying it here, it messed with Maffa. We didn't see Maffa after that. We didn't see Maffa come in after that play. So, yeah, it was a bad beat, I guess. Not in the gambling sense of the word, but in the fandom sense of the word. It was one of those that you felt like it was a missed opportunity because could have thrust Clemson right back up into the midway tier of the top 25 and keep the ACC championship talk alive. And it's going to take a lot of something special for Clemson to get back up in the top 2. But hey, survive in advance. Florida State did. That's what good teams do. Hats off to them.
Yeah, that's what national championship teams do. And that's my question. Is Clemson better than we thought after 2 weeks, or is Florida State not as good as people think? They played 4 games. They blew out LSU, which, is going to get you credit no matter whether it's a good win or not. Then they struggled a little bit with Boston College at the end. And Clemson ran the ball all over Florida State, and Florida State couldn't run the ball against Clemson
at all.
So what's the answer there, Locks? Which way do we go? Is Clemson better than we thought, or is Florida State not as good as we thought?
I think Clemson's better than we thought. Florida State is good. I think they're a little dinged up. Am I wrong? I don't know. I could be wrong. They had a couple guys out. But I think Florida State's pretty good too. I don't – it's tough to gauge everything off of that LSU Florida State game. First game of the year, first game jitters, whole 9 yards, high profile game for that weekend. I think Clemson just started way too slow. I mean, if they had played like this versus Duke in that first game, I think it'd have been quite a different result, and then they could have built from there. I don't know what the difference is and why it didn't start that way. I wish it had, but again, it was just an exciting watch. It was fun, man. And that first game versus Duke, which is so painful, I was gritting my teeth the whole time. So Florida State, again, I think they're pretty solid. Their defense on the backside needs to make some serious adjustments. Though I think they're throwing the ball over them. So we'll see how they do.
I think Sylvester has a good point here, saying that Jordan Travis is dinged up. I think that's fairly obvious during the game. Yeah. Beef, what's your take on this? Clemson better than we thought? Florida State not as good?
So I always tell a story, and it's always story time with me. But I tell a story back in like the mid 2000s when I was living in Tampa, Florida, where after Florida, the University of Florida was like 4-4, and some dude literally stood up on his bar stool and said, "The best 4-4 team in the country." And I looked at him and says, "What's that get you?" I'm going to say, I use that to say Clemson is the best 2-2 team in the country. I mean, look at the stats. There's no reason outside of that one really important one of turnovers. There's no reason for this team to be 2-2. None. You can't convince me otherwise. That 28-7 game looks like an enigma. It is an enigma because how many times Clemson didn't punt in the second half and came away with no points. Like, how does that happen? And this game literally it took one play. It was literally one play. The fumble 6 changed the entire trajectory of the game. So, I mean, the offense is humming. The defense, you just said it, Marty. They didn't give up how many yards? I wish I had my stat book out.
22
rushing
22 on the ground.
Yeah, they could not run the ball. They couldn't run it. And I know Jordan Travis was probably, because he was dinged, they probably didn't run him at all to be that decoy. Right. But I don't care. Benson is as good a running back in the country, and he couldn't get anything. And Toafili's a little sneaky back too. Like, they could do nothing. So I it sucks to say this, but I love this team. And if they were 2-2, it sucks. It sucks to hear myself say it.
That is funny. Unfortunately for me, I'm not the most optimistic, but one of the more optimistic Clemson fans. And I was waiting for something to happen, and unfortunately, it did happen. Beef, let's move it forward to the Syracuse game. I just looked before we went live, and Clemson's a 6.5-point favorite at Syracuse. Now, I don't know if you've done your writing for the week or if you're going to do writing this week, but look at there. What you learned in Miss Johnson's third grade class. What's your take on Syracuse and a 6.5-point spread for Clemson Tigers?
Yeah, it's funny, 6.5-point spread for Clemson, but the FPI on ESPN has Syracuse likely to win it like 60% or something like that. So it's crazy. I think Clemson's had a rough go with Garrett Schrader, the quarterback for Syracuse, for just about all 12 of his years of being the quarterback at Syracuse. So he's a load. He leads the team in rushing and obviously passing. He is the offense, especially with Rondé Gadsden Jr. going down, or the third or whatever he is, going down early and going to miss the whole season. A lot of unknowns. You don't have the Sean, whatever his name is, at running back again this year. They have a LaQuint Allen Jr., but he's putting up numbers. The defense is thirsty and hungry. They have a defensive end, this Caleb Okechukwu, who Clemson fans should know because he's caused havoc in the backfield for Clemson the last 4 years that he's been there as well. and they're good on the back end. They're 4-0, man. They've beaten Purdue. Who else? A couple MAC teams. I haven't looked at who they beat yet, but this is a good Syracuse team, and we're going up there in that house of horrors. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Before we get to that, your comment about second or third, but junior or the third, I once worked with the guys whose name, Charles Raina Jr. the fourth. He was the fourth junior.
Oh, wow.
He was the fourth junior, Charles Raina. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyway, Locks, your take on Syracuse and Clemson.
I don't know.
Look at Chancey's
It's okay to say I don't know.
You'd like to see them stay on this trajectory, but you could see how it could be just completely flat too. So I don't know. My what do you call it, Marty? The crazy pick of the week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what mine has to do with. So
okay.
I'll reserve my my full judgment on this one.
55.2%.
Is that right?
And yes, they beat Western Michigan, Colgate, and Army, and Purdue.
Yeah, that's what I looked at before I thought of my thought.
All right, we'll get to that in a couple of minutes, as Locks pointed out. But first, we want to get to last week's poll review. Did I even put it up there? Did Clemson wins by 10 plus, which was mine, won, and I let these two fellows in on the secret, even though they know. Just put we're so skewed Clemson that you put anything up there. I could have put Clemson wins by 40, and that would have won the poll. But Ole Miss did not beat Alabama, and Casey, I don't think Breakers covered. I know they were hanging tough for a while. Okay,
they did not.
All right, so none of them won, but I think I came the closest on that one. So, okay, Locks, you're talking about a bold prediction.
Yeah,
it's time. I don't even have one yet, so I'll think of one while you're talking.
I like it. Well, mine goes right back to this game, and I'm going all in here, and Clemson wins by 3 scores, and I don't know what that might be 9 points, could be 6 with 3 safeties, it could be 21 too. I don't know, but I mean, I just feel like from what I've read, what I've seen, again, who they've played, Syracuse has played nobody. I know it is away, but what do they got to lose at this point? Why hold anything back? Play wise from the offense, anything? Just cut it loose. Let's see what happens. But yeah, 3 scores is what I got Clemson winning by this week.
So when I typed that for the Twitter poll, by the way, we had 51,000 responses last week. So. When I type that for the Twitter poll, do I put Clemson wins by 3 scores, parentheses, between 6 and 21?
There's a character limit.
I mean, do as you wish. You're the one typing, but 3 scores.
All right. Nice. Beef, you're up next.
How about this crazy stat? Garrett Schrader has more rushing yards in 6 less attempts than Will Shipley. My bold prediction for this week is Notre Dame loses to Duke.
Ooh, I wish I would have thought of that.
I don't think it's going to happen.
It's bold, though.
If it does, then I told you so.
Hey, first time game day at Duke ever? How hyped is that campus?
Have they even ever? Yeah, they've never been there, right? It
no,
leads like Rutgers and somebody else.
First time ever. So
been there. Well, that's interesting because they've been there 428 times for basketball.
For basketball. That's a little different.
So, that's a good one, Casey. I wish I'd have thought of that one. But I have to come up with something for Clemson in the next 5, 4, 3. Cade Klubnik throws for 400 yards against Syracuse. I don't know. I'm at a loss. I spent my whole day at the doctor, and then while I was in the doctor, the physical therapy place called and said, "Hey, can you come? In 15 minutes?" And so. Busy day, so I didn't have time to think up anything. But I'm gonna say Cade Klubnik throws for 400 yards. I think that's kind of bold with with wide receivers in the shape they're in. And Casey had the best one. I like Casey's the best, so I'll vote for his in the poll.
Already got a vote, jeez.
Because you mentioned when Locks was talking about will Clemson be up or down, that's what I thought about Notre Dame. I mean. Yeah. they were right there beating Ohio State, right? And now they've got to turn around and face a very tough environment. As Clemson found out.
Who knew?
Well, yes, exactly. Who knew? All right, let's go. We're going to go to the recap from week 4. Let's see if I can pull the right thing up. There's the one with all the X's. Now, the name of this episode is Reverse Heater because Mr. Cregan is on a 10-1-1 heater. Zach, did you know Casey's worst week was as good as you and I's best week? Yeah. Casey has had 4 weeks. 3 of them he hadn't lost a game. He had a tie, had a push. I'm sorry. Last week in that same Notre Dame-Ohio State game, you struggled a little bit. Colorado almost came through for you. Notre Dame
in the first half,
first quarter.
Notre Dame almost came through for you.
Yeah.
And I quit watching Ole Miss Alabama at halftime, so I'm not sure if it's close or
so
not.
So did Ole Miss fans.
What do you have to say for yourself, Locks?
Just dead man walking. I mean, I don't know, guys. It's very confusing. Used to kind of enjoy this. Now, like, it's time to make picks, and I'm just so lost. I'm asking coworkers at work that I know that don't even watch football what they think. Ask them to pick a color.
What was her name? What was her name?
Yeah, exactly. I got nothing, man. And right when I made these picks that I got this week, I felt real good. And now today, I'm like, God, why would you even consider that? So that's where we're at in my head. So just fade everything that I say.
How quickly things changed. It was just last week that on the text you were chiding Casey for getting his picks in late. And who was the late picker this week? I think it was.
That's just because I felt like I had to.
So I felt every week.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I had a weird week in that TCU handled SMU, and I felt bad because I should have picked against the spread, but it was a little dicey for about the first quarter. But after that, TCU handled them. Then Utah got lucky in a 14-7 thriller. And then I was feeling really confident when I looked up and App State was up 19-7 with 11 minutes and 32 seconds to go when they kicked off. The problem is with 11 minutes and 21 seconds to go, it was 18-14. No problem, though. These guys are used to playing in the cold, and they drove right down the field, got into field goal range, and got that field goal blocked in return for a touchdown. No problem, though. Minute ago, they drove right down the field. We're sitting at the Wyoming 20. Surely they're going to go to overtime, probably win it because they're used to playing in the cold. No, they throw a pass into, I think it was 32-mile-an-hour wind that looked like a duck my cousin shot in South Carolina, and it was intercepted. So that I consider that a bad beat, but I had it. It was right there. Plus 114, and the Mountaineers let me down. But I got another exciting play with great reasoning behind it this week for you guys. Beef, 2-0-1. Thank you for Notre Dame for throwing out 10 players or 20 players on 2 plays combined. Texas rolled, and Washington State rolled also. Beef, great week, buddy.
Thanks. That's all I got.
I was just saying, what's your strategy, Beef? Is it a dice? Like
my strategy, literally, I'll tell you what it is, and it switched this week, and it's got me a little bit scared. It's oh crap, today's Wednesday, and I only put 1 pick in. ESPN app. Oh, that one looks good. Ooh, that one looks juicy. Put those in, lock them in. All right, and then ask you right before we go on, who did I pick? And then figure out some BS that I can just spew for 5 minutes to listen to myself talk.
My dude, you're 10-1-1. It's working.
Sure. And that's why I'm a little nervous because I was in early this week. I had time to think about who I picked. I forgot who I picked 3 different times. I had to look again right before we went on. And I hate them all. I hate
saying there's still a chance.
Yeah, right. Like the normally when I do it the Wednesday, before we go on, I don't have time to like think about the games. I'm thinking about them, and I don't like these picks at all.
It's awful.
Don't ever think about them. Well, here's how well it worked. Beef is an incredible 10-1-1. He's turned 10,000 Slogo bucks into 13,865.17. And coincidentally, 10,000 and 13,865, they're worth the same thing. I'm in second place. I'm very consistent. I've had a 2-1 week every week, but I have no money line pick this week, folks. It's all against the spread. So I am like the Beef. I am worried. Locks is in a big red background, which means he's got less than he started with. He's struggling a little bit. But Locks is our 2 or 3 or how many ever times we played champion. So we have every confidence that Locks will get it going, and this will be Locks. It'll be your week, Locks, either this week or next week or some week will be your week.
You're very optimistic, and it makes me comfortable.
But fellas, this time, I don't think you could have done any worse if you tried.
I take that as a victory.
These guys aren't doing research, so why should I? Beef, you stink the most.
A true believer in what they're doing in North Carolina. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech, Tennessee.
I love Spencer Rattler.
I agree with Marty.
I don't like this.
Look, you smell it, the backdoor cover.
For the second or third consecutive week, you have earned the right. You have earned the right to go first this week. What you got for us, buddy?
The council has spoken. First, out the gate, back to the over-unders, as I say, for me, since I'm the only one that ever does this play, so I figure something's got to change. I saw the Michigan versus Nebraska game, not a game that I am looking forward to at all. The over-under set at 40. Wake me up when it's over. It's actually down to 39 now, which is shocking, below 40. I got to take the over. I'm going over. I mean, Blake Corum gets off for a couple. Nebraska's got to score 10. Maybe like a total of 42. I'm just crossing my fingers here. But the more I think about it, I think it's a stupid play. So I'm only betting 400 on it. 400 Slugo bucks. It's just completely uncomfortable. Can't stand myself.
All right, Michigan, Nebraska over 40. A Big Ten game at 40 and one that does not involve Iowa. That's
right.
All right, I've earned the right to go second. That means I'm next to the last worst player here. I don't know where Casey's going first, but Casey and I have a head-to-head this week. I saw Kentucky and Florida and a 3.5-point spread, Kentucky minus 3.5. What stuck in my head about Florida was that first game against Utah where they only scored 11 points. And they just haven't impressed me. And I think Napier's a dead man walking. It might be a year or a year and a half before that happens. But I think he's a dead man walking. This game's at Kentucky. The problem for me and why I will never be a professional gambler is in my head, I said I need to wait and see if this gets under 3, which it now has. It's all the way down to 1. But in the meantime, Beef made a pick, and I jumped on it too early, and I'm a horrible gambler. And if I lose this game, it's my own fault. Kentucky, minus 3.5. I'm not confident either. And I didn't even look up the thing so I can do the easy $300. So I'm going to do I'm just going to bet 330 on it and guess. Guess it's going to be 110 or somewhere close to that. So Kentucky minus 3.5 for 330 Slugo bucks. It is the guy who's right now standing on top of the podium. It's Casey the Beef Cregan. But what's Dabo say? They don't give out trophies after week 4 or whatever it is he says.
That's right. Especially the way that I'm betting this week.
Beef, your first pick.
I'll stay there, and I'm going with Florida plus 3.5 at Kentucky. I just think I'm riding that hotness of Florida. They put it to Tennessee a couple weeks ago, and I just think Graham Mertz is coming into his own. So if they can give Trevor Etienne the ball a couple more times, maybe they could have a dynamic running game. I'm going Florida plus 3.5 for 600 Slugo bucks.
All right, this could turn the tide. I'm in second place. Beef, of course, is
these
first.
bets are going to 0-3 is going to turn the tide for me.
Well, this one specifically because you're going to lose if you lost 600 and I won 300-ish. Getting back in the game, but we'll see. I'm not very confident after reading about this game. I think I jumped the gun a little bit there. Locks, pick number 2, buddy.
I'm going to roll to the Big 12 here. Kansas come into Texas, at Texas. I locked it in at 17, plus 17 for Kansas. I like Jalen Daniels. I think he's going to be a handful for Texas. Texas not known for their tackling. I know they're better than ever, but they're still not the best. Jalen Daniels got nothing to lose. 2 4-0 teams. It should be an entertaining game. It's at 3:30 too, so I plan on watching this one. Hopefully, go Jayhawks. Nothing I ever thought I'd say when I was watching a football game. Put me down for 800 Sluggo bucks on this one.
Woo! Is that
gotta put some work in, guys? I don't know.
Is that down the street here at? Is it in Austin or?
That's in UT. Yep.
Oh. Okay.
DKR, Texas Memorial Stadium. Tickets as low as $25.
Wow.
Interesting pick. I almost took that game too. I say that about every one of you guys' pick, but I almost took that game, and I was going to make the same pick that you made because how I feel about University of Texas.
So you wanted to lose. I got you. All right.
Exactly. You got it. You said how. All right. My second pick, LSU over Ole Miss. I'm taking LSU minus 2.5. I think they can win by a field goal over Ole Miss. Ole Miss is probably beat up and hurt after playing Alabama. Oh, wait a second. It's not 2021 Alabama. It's 2023 Alabama. I don't know. I just think Ole Miss is not going to be able to get up for 2 weeks in a row, even though it is the SEC and they're used to that. I think LSU is too much. After watching the half of Mississippi that I didn't scare me very much. I think LSU can win by a field goal. So LSU minus 2.5. Ole Miss, I'm going to go 550 Sluggo bucks here. Beef and Zach, get ready to correct me when I cut off Casey before he gets to the third pick.
All right.
And here you go to Beef's second pick. Who you got, Beef?
For my second pick, I'm going out to Oregon State. And the Fighting Ukuleles of DJ Uiagalelei. They are 1.5-point favorites against Utah. So naturally, I'm going Utah plus 1.5. I think that's what I got it at. I think it's up to 3 or something like that. Oregon State minus 3 right now. But I'm going Utah plus 1.5. Reading an article that Cam Rising and Nate Johnson will continue to split reps. Man, oh man, Utah could use Cam Rising and running that offense. So we'll see how if he returns this week or if it's going to be next week. If it's this week, I think that bet is safe. If it's next week, then I'm going to be donating $265 at 17 Sluggo bucks. 265.17.
Casey gets the odd number this week. All right, Locks, your third and final pick to try to get out of the cellar.
Yeah, I decided to go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off, and we're going to go with a Friday night game since might as well start in a hole before we even hit the weekend.
Bold strategy. Bold strategy. Lose early.
Yeah, get it over with, man. I'm going to go deep here too, y'all. Over 55 total score for NC State versus Louisville.
That was probably your best pick in my opinion.
And that's why I'm going 1,200 on it.
Oh,
1,200. We're going 1,200. I had 1,000 written down. Casey said it's my best pick. It's 1,200. 200. You owe me 200. I'm just looking at what these two teams are scoring. There's not a ton of defense played in the games they've played so far, and NC State themselves has scored 50-plus points, I think, in 2 out of the 4 games they played. I don't know. Let's just hope it runs up and down the field. I might throw a couple prize picks on it too. Lose that as well. Let's go, baby.
Jack Plummer.
That is a bold pick because Saturday you'll either be so obnoxious we won't want to talk to you, or you won't answer our text. One or the other.
What do you expect, honestly?
There's no middle ground.
No.
He'll be I can already see it, Casey. I'm back.
Yeah,
So back. All right. That's a great pick. I like that. That's supposed to be entertaining and fun. I think that pick makes it entertaining and fun. We don't all pick midnight games on Saturday like I'm doing. UNLV host Hawaii this week. Okay. Now think about the psychology of this. 3 weeks ago, Hawaii was hosting Vanderbilt or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they went to the mainland. Then they went back to Hawaii. Then a couple of weeks ago, they were playing Oregon State. Now I got it all reversed, but they have to travel to UNLV. In other words, they're going back and forth between Hawaii. There hasn't been like a 4-game home streak with, homestand like they usually have. Like they play like 4 in a row at home, then maybe 3 in a row on the road. They've gone back and forth. And by the way, it's 2,650 miles from Honolulu to Oregon State, and it's 2,650 miles back. And then it's 2,800 miles to Las Vegas from Honolulu. They don't have to go back until they get beat by more than 9 points on Saturday night. Hawaii, it's like game 4 or 5. They played early too. They're on game 6. They're beat up. They're hurt. They're tired. They've traveled like 748,000 miles already. UNLV -9 over Hawaii. I'm so confident I'm going to do 440 Sluggo bucks on that game.
That's a fantastic explanation for $440.
It's
insane, Marty.
That's worth more than $440. I should have put like $1,200 on 2 horrible teams on a Friday night, like somebody did. Hey, this week I remembered I'm 1 for 4, Beef. Coy, you didn't go first. You didn't go first on the first week. Zach, back when Zach used to be the reigning. Well, he's still the reigning champion, but your third pick, Beef.
Picture this: a beautiful Saturday afternoon in College Park, Maryland. The Fighting Turtles are hosting the Bloomington, Indiana, whatever they're called, Fighting Illini or something. I don't know. I know it's the Hoosiers. I'm just kidding. No one goes into Bird Stadium at 3:30 on a Saturday that beats Maryland. I'm going Maryland -14 versus Indiana. Give me all Maryland, all 14 of those, 600 Sluggo bucks.
Nice, 600 Sluggo bucks.
Sorry, I'm trying to make that a thing, and it's not really working for me anymore, so I'll probably try again next week.
How much is that for?
600.
600.
I had it at 1,000, and I felt bad before.
Oh, so it's like a reverse.
I owe you 200. So.
See?
And Beef, that's why you're a great actor, and I'm in second place because I had a whole bit set because I found out that Kentucky plays in, wait for it, Kroger Stadium, which nobody walks into Kroger Stadium, as Beef says.
No one goes into Kroger and doesn't spend 400 Sluggo bucks.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I missed it. I forgot all about it. Kroger Stadium. All right, here we go. Recap. Not Beef. That was Locks. Beef takes Florida. Florida +3.5 for 600 Sluggo bucks. Utah +1.5 for 265.17 Sluggo bucks. And who'd you take? Maryland, Indiana. I was so worried about Maryland -14. I should have known that by the -14 on my screen for 600 Sluggo bucks. Locks takes the over on Michigan, Nebraska at 40. Looking for the children to pick on their Beef. Takes Kansas +17 for 800 Sluggo bucks. I like it, Locks. You're showing some desperation. And took the over in NC State Louisville, a Friday night barn burner, which adds a little something to this contest. Over 55 for 1,200 Sluggo bucks. Me and Beef are going head to head. I took Kentucky -3.5 for 330 Sluggo bucks. LSU -2.5 for 550 Sluggo bucks. UNLV -9 for 440 Sluggo bucks. And as much as I put into this, I just realized I took 3 favorites, and I don't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this week with 3 favorites in college football. That's just ridiculous. You never take 3 favorites in college football, no matter who's playing, as Locks found out a couple weeks ago. All right, let's see. Those are our picks for the week. And Beef, tell the people thanks. Let's get out of here. And everybody, before we go, say go Astros. Make sure Fromberg gets that $220 win. Anyway, Beef?
Just once.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was frozen. Thanks to everyone in the Seldom Used Reserve College Football Discussion Group. Uncle John McGee, as always. Sluggo Podcast, and each and every one of you who listens, likes, shares, and participates. On behalf of Marty Seldom Used Reserve Coleman and Zach Locks Parker, I'm Casey the Beef Cregan. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right here next week on Sluggo.
Friday night football. Zach's got a big $1,200 bet. I love it, Zach. Thanks for that. That adds something. See you guys next week. Next week, fellas.
I think we're done here.